Hello, my name is Christina Lee. This is a video assignment for the subject Philosophy and Current Issues. The topic that I'll be sharing is the death traditions in other parts of the world. Most of us know about basically two ways of saying goodbye to the dead: cremations and burials. In the modern day, death ritual usually involves a dead body being displayed for the friends and relatives to pay their final respects. However, there are countries and cultures that continue to follow the traditional way of dealing with death that would sound very bizarre to many of us. Can you imagine losing a loved one and a finger at the same time? Finger amputation is practiced in Papua New Guinea among the Dani people. The death of a loved one meant that any women and children related to the departed had to cut off some of their fingers. It is unclear why the custom applied primarily to women. This practice was believed to protect them against evil spirits, as well as it being an expression of sorrow and suffering. To perform the amputation, fingers were tied tightly with a string and cut off with an axe. The leftover piece was then dried and burnt to ashes or stored in a special place. Thankfully, the practice is banned by the government, but older members of the tribe still show signs of this brutal practice. In southwest China, there are a haunting array of wooden caskets that suspend from the rock face to a height of almost 300 feet. Some coffins have fallen over the years, but the remaining 160 caskets nailed high up on the cliffside marks the only reminder left by the Bo people. Little are known about the Bo people except that they were wiped out by the Ming Dynasty around 400 years ago. Today, the locals refer to the long-lost civilization as Sons of the Cliffs. Historians are still confused as to why this ancient tribe felt that this was the best way to honor the dead, but it may simply be to prevent the dead from being disturbed. Coffins of various shapes were mostly carved from one whole piece of wood. Hanging coffins either lie on beams projecting outward or sit on natural rock projections on the mountain faces. Here's a clip of a team of people testing out the method themselves. It took a team of 12 3 days to get the coffin up there. This is an interesting ceremony from Indonesia of an ethnic community called Tanah Toraja, where the dead share space with the living. These people believed in the afterlife, so they will go all out when a person dies. It can take months or sometimes even years for a funeral to take place. Why? Well, the funeral ceremony is very expensive. There will be music, dance, and huge feasts of animal sacrifices. Many families do not have the money to organize this funeral, so they will take all the time that they need to come up with the funds. In the meantime, the dead person continues to live in the homes and be members of the household, where they are symbolically fed and cared for. They are referred to as makala, a sick person. To them, the person's soul is still on earth, so they're not really gone until the funeral ceremony. Torajans traditionally rub special leaves and herbs over the body to preserve it. Nowadays, a chemical called formalin is often injected into the body to embalm it. Moving on to the ceremony, animal sacrifices is the fundamental part of the tradition. Water buffalo has a major significance in the society as they're viewed as a sacred animal, and the carriers in charge of taking the departed person's soul to the afterlife. Now let's talk about Dagma, also known as the Tower of Silence. The concept in the tower is built based off the Zoroastrian religion, one of the oldest religions in the world that originated from Persia. This religion believes that both earth and fire are sacred elements, so burying or burning a corpse would be contaminating these pure elements. Instead, they built a circular structure that is around 800 feet high and 300 feet in circumference, with only one firing door. Once a person dies, the body is considered unclean. In order to give it a proper send-off as quickly as possible, the body must first be cleansed in bull's urine. Bull's urine. Yes, you heard that right. Bull's urine. Once clean, the corpse is laid in linen and visited twice by the Sakdi, a dog that is believed to cast away evil spirits. The word Sakdi means glance of the dog. Once it is clean enough, the bodies will be taken out to the Tower of Silence, and the departed will be laying on top of the tower exposed to wild animals, more specifically the vultures. Usually it takes about an hour or so for the birds to pick a body clean. The ceremony was mostly practiced in Iran and Mumbai, but Iran has officially banned this in 1960. On to the last one in the list. You must be wondering why am I showing you these pictures, but these are not any ordinary sculptures. These are called fantasy coffins. Don't they look real? In Ghana, people like to be buried in something that represents their life. The idea is that the dead have to be buried in something that represents the job they did while alive, so that they remember where they come from and what they have left behind. These include coffins shaped like planes for pilots, fish for fishermen, and a Mercedes for businessmen. All woodworking is done using the simplest tools, without the aid of electrical appliances. So we have come to the end of the video. Instead of seeing death as an end to life, I think it's simply an end to a physical form. Whether you like it or not, death is something that's bound to happen to every one of us. So, I hope you live life to the fullest. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have learned something new.